Soup.
Oh, soup.
Loaded with vegetables, packed with taste.
Put on your thinking caps. Evaporation rate equals 700 times the mean temperature divided by 100 minus the latitude plus 15 times temperature minus dew point temperature divided by 80 minus temperature times millimeters per day. So easy, Sam. A caveman can do it. Got it? Great.
That is amazing.
Currently in our area, 77 degrees under fair skies. Today, lots of sunshine. High 80. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 67. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Monday, mostly sunny skies. High 83. Winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
See the weather like never before.
Look at this.
Listen to that!
Amazing starts here. The Weather Channel mornings.
The Dueler tires on Terrence Knighton's truck are engineered to be Bridgestone's best SUV tires, and now they have an 80,000-mile tread-wear warranty.
Guess we're gonna be here a while.
First time on a treadmill?
What are you saying?
I'm just saying.
With an 80,000-mile tread-wear warranty, the Dueler tires are Bridgestone's best SUV tires. Go to BridgestoneTire.com to find a Bridgestone dealer near you.
Today we're getting record snowfall.
Radars indicate there's been flooding throughout the
We're
area.
getting hail the size of golf balls.
Maglite. Turn your light on, America.
There's a reason no one says easy like Monday morning. Sundays are the Warriors' day to unplug and recharge. What if this feeling could last all week? With CenturyLink as your trusted partner, it can. Our visionary cloud infrastructure and global broadband network free you to focus on what matters. With custom communication solutions and dedicated support, your business can shine all week long. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
This is a map of the pressure points on my feet.
I had flat feet. I learned where the stress was at the Dr. Scholl's Foot Mapping Center. Then I got my number, which matched the custom-fit orthotic inserts with the right support.
Go to drscholl's.com for locations and save $10.
I'm a believer.
Welcome back to Weather Center Live, and look and listen to this. High winds whipping through Washington State last night, gusting up to about 50 miles per hour in many areas. This, Seattle, look at this, the traffic light swinging. It looks like those signs are going to fall on the cars. There's several reports of downed trees across the area, and over 80,000 customers still without power today.
Okay, so you think that's bad, Mark?
Mm-hmm.
Look at this. Baby pools going flying in Oregon. That was the scene in Hillsborough. That's about 20 miles outside of Portland. You'll notice that the trees blowing around, and we had a lot of trees down. And those were big trees, thousands without power today because of those downed trees and branches that went right onto power lines. We had wind gusts over 45 miles an hour. Our highest wind gust, though, over 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's just insane.
And it wasn't just small branches from this system. Some of these trees that have been around for what looks like forever were affected too. So many people in the Northwest cleaning up damage and debris.
Yeah, take a look at this. Neighborhoods across the region just completely littered with fallen trees. This video you can see here where we've got, I'm trying
it's Beaverton, Oregon.
I need my glasses on.
You can see the trees across the streets, on people's lawns, on people's homes, people taking pictures, surveying the damage. I mean,
look how large these are.
Yeah, big root balls. These are healthy trees, but the timing really bad. All the leaves are still on these trees.
Well, and okay, leaves are on them, and then in addition to that, you have completely saturated soil.
Yeah.
You're way above average on how much rainfall you've seen so far this year. That's loosened up the root system. You don't have as good a grip. And then you get those winds gusting 50 miles an hour. That will knock anything over.
So in the Portland area right now, they're getting a bit of a break, if you can call this a break. There's still raindrops on the camera lens. There's still some wind out there. It's just not as bad as it was. But unfortunately, the Pacific Northwest has another gangbuster storm on the way as we go through the middle of the week.
And it's not letting up just yet. So this is what your drought monitor actually looks like. Believe it or not, you actually had drought conditions still persisting, even though we've seen an excess of rainfall in certain parts of the Northwest. That doesn't always alleviate the drought immediately. The soil can't absorb it that quickly, but you can see it's still an issue. We're getting some improvement at least.
Yeah, the short term has been very soggy. The long term has been just so dry in the West, and they haven't been able to balance each other out yet. So now we're going from famine to feast, I guess, with even more rain and onshore flow bringing these showers just again and again and again, even up I-5 towards Seattle.
And you can see as they move on shore, you start to see them move up in elevation into the Cascades. That's where you see it transfer into snow, where we could see a foot of snow in some of the Cascades possible. And there's that onshore flow that you were talking about.
Yeah, we've got just persistent winds coming on through. So the wind's not as bad right now. Gusts, up to 30 miles per hour, and the elevation certainly contributing to those higher gusts. But this is the calm between the storms. There's another one on the way. And so with one system moving in, we've got the inland high wind warnings and wind advisories. But this is really just the beginning, unfortunately.
Oh, yes, we got more to come. There's that next system. You can see kind of that swirl going on out in the Pacific. This is moving toward the coast once again. So what's going to happen is as this low develops and strengthens a little bit, deepens a bit, it's going to move on shore. That's going to kick that moisture right back in.
Yeah, it's deja vu all over again, right? We've got the moisture coming on in. We've got the wind coming in. Look at some of the wind timing here. Look at these. Newport, for example, 40, 50, 60 mile per hour winds. And that's not even the gusts. That's just the wind coming in with this next storm system.
And you have, again, the saturated soil, trees and branches coming down, knocking down power lines, leaving you without power. So we're going to stay on top of this.
And the October tornado threat far from over as well.
Yeah, our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, is going to break down why this month saw more twisters than usual and what we might see in November.
This is Phyllis. Phyllis is headed to a science conference, so she's not thinking about tires right now. But if she were, all she'd need to know is TireRack.com. She could view the complete selection of Continental tires at TireRack.com. Then she'd have the confidence to drive safely in any weather. But Phyllis isn't thinking about tires. Phyllis is thinking, well, I'm not really sure, but it's probably important. TireRack.com. Find, deliver, install.
Looking for one of these?
Yoplait. Smooth, creamy, and craved by the whole family.
That disease is for older people. Not me. I take good care of myself. I'm active. I never saw it coming. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Pneumococcal pneumonia was horrible. The fatigue, the chest pains, difficulty breathing. It put me in the hospital. You don't want to go through what I did.
If you're over 50, talk to your doctor. You may be able to prevent it.
There. Hot stuff.
Not turning the thermostat down.
That's not what I was doing. I was just having fun. Come here. Nice and tight. Atta girl.
Daddy.
There's a sweet spot. Hold on. That didn't happen in practice.
There's a better way. Mitsubishi Electric Systems give you the temperature you want in any room with no ductwork and lower energy bills. Mitsubishi Electric Cooling and Heating. Live better. Go to MitsubishiComfort.com.
Oh my God, what was that?
Tonight, the Weather Channel unravels a new tale of weather legend.
Some of the drivers have reported apparitions. They see a ghostly mist.
Honey, he's here.
Coming.
Not too late.
Love you guys.
Finally, someone who's good enough for her.
Families everywhere are feeling the love for their natural gas appliances. Find out why at naturalgaslove.com.
One car travels towards an intersection with wipers that streak and clog, while another travels towards the same intersection with wiper blades that don't let them see clearly. But between them, the Michelin Man with Michelin Stealth Wiper Blades. A revolution in wiper blade technology, combining SmartFlex construction for superior windshield contact with proven hybrid blade design for clog-free performance in rain, ice, and snow, helping you steer clear for the road ahead. Michelin Stealth Wiper Blades, a better way forward.
4656. Or go to HumanaBigBook.com. The savings are too big to miss.
See the weather like never before.
Look at this! Listen to that!
Amazing starts here. The Weather Channel Mornings.
Currently in our area, 79 degrees under fair skies. Today, lots of sunshine. High 80. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 67. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Monday, mostly sunny skies. High 83. Winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to Weather Center Live. We were in a tornado drought for much of 2014, but October changed the game. Tornado expert Dr. Greg Forbes breaks down the tornado tally and shows us why November is no time to let our guards down.
Because of the outbreak of more than 40 tornadoes back in mid-October, this month is actually above average for number of tornadoes. It's just the second time in 2014, the previous in June. Here's what the numbers look like. October through the 24th, we've had 69 preliminary tornadoes. That's 57% above the average to this date, which would be 44, and more than the whole month typically averages, which is 57. So, like I say, we're going to be above average. Here's what the year-to-date total looks like. 820 tornadoes, that's a lot, but it's 31% below the 10-year average of 1,191. So we've had a lot of tornadoes, but fortunately, we have been below average. We'll hope it continues that way, but not necessarily so. What does November typically hold? Well, if you look at the big picture of things, on average, we go from 57 tornadoes in October down to 55 in November, but that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. Certainly, it's way down from the peak month, which is typically the month of May, but it does not tell the whole story because sometimes some Novembers can have big outbreaks that give 2 or 3 times the average. Look at this outbreak back in November 1992. That one had 105 tornadoes, and all 5 of these rank in the 50 biggest tornado outbreaks for any month in the United States. So while every November is not very active, sometimes with that Gulf of Mexico moisture being drawn northward by low pressure systems and the jet stream coming south, kind of like what happens in the spring, we can get big tornado outbreaks. So don't let your guard down. Keep checking the weather and stay safe. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Forbes. All right, so we're talking about the threat of tornadoes as we head into November, but what threat is going down? Hopefully the tropics. Let's go over to Mark. He's with Dr. Cosell in the lab.
Thanks, Kate. This is the clash of the seasons, right? You can get a little bit of everything this time of year. We're not out of the tornado threat. We're not out of the hurricane threat. We can start to talk about wintry weather. But for now, we're talking about yet another major storm going towards the Pacific Northwest, which has a tropical connection.
Yeah, it was Tropical Cyclone Ana, tropical storm just a few hours ago. Now post-tropical, meaning it's kind of lost the thunderstorms as its primary energy source. And so with all that in mind, this is the final advisory on Ana, which is right there.
And you know, we've got a couple of swirlies in here, to coin a term that you love to use. We got one area of low pressure here, one here. Is one of these what was Ana? Does it matter at this point? Is it going to combine into one big storm?
It's a good question. I would say probably it doesn't really matter a whole lot because it's going to, blend, and we're going to end up with a windy rainmaker for parts of Canada and the northwest U.S. Here's the cone. Now, they're still drawing the cone for a post-tropical cyclone. This would be the Central Pacific Hurricane Center. But the idea is that they want you to keep in mind that this once tropical system is moving that way, and it's going to bring some of its forces with it.
And it is still an entity that will enhance the messy weather that was already on the way to the Pacific Northwest and Southwest Canada as well. And the wind is going to be a huge factor.
Yeah, there'll be some pretty high wind gusts, especially at elevation. I mean, we're having wind gusts, we think, over 60 miles per hour here. And obviously, the lower down you get, not so much. But, this is all part of a system that's got a complex history, and some of it is going back all the way to the tropics.
So that tropical moisture and some of those tropical winds will enhance the nasty conditions.
Yeah, they will. I mean, right now, there's Anna and there is everything else but Anna, and they're all kind of now blending together. You can look at that picture and say, I don't see much of a distinction between the two, and that's accurate because what we don't want you to think is that a tropical cyclone is coming into the northwest. What we're seeing is sort of the combination of a couple systems now becoming one.
And that's still a factor for the weather that they're going to see, because we can still track this kind of extra help from the tropics.
Yeah, there it goes, and it kind of, then you see kind of blurs or merges into one giant blob of energy in the jet stream, and that is associated with low pressure near the surface and windy, rainy times, we think, certainly Monday night and Tuesday as well.
And on top of what they've already seen, this is just more bad news. I mean, there's still cleanup going on from this past storm that just is now ending.
Yeah, and you know what? The tropics aren't dead, because if you go on the other side of the world, we have an Arabian Sea tropical storm that could become a hurricane as it moves toward Pakistan and maybe India as well.
And they can have just gargantuan flooding in that part of the world as well. Kate, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, the hurricane season in the home stretch, light at the end of the tunnel. Later, we're going to recap the top 3 October hurricanes of all time. And what are you going to see for Halloween? Perhaps of the snow? We'll let you know.
Hey neighbor, LED bulbs save energy and can last for over 20 years. So head to your neighborhood Ace now to stock up on the best bulbs for the best price. Get dimmable LED bulbs by Fight for $5.99 after $2 instant savings.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Ring, ring.
Progresso.
I can't believe I'm eating bacon-enriched creamy cheese before my sister's wedding.
Well, it's only 100 calories, so you'll be ready for that dress.
Uh-huh.
You don't love the dress?
I love my sister.
40 flavors, 100 calories or less.
Here's to the man who truly is the best of us.
Who really has the key to the city? With best-in-class payload and best-in-class cargo capacity and an unsurpassed powertrain warranty, you run the town. The all-new Ram ProMaster. Guts, glory, Ram.
How did I set a new personal record today? I started with a test run. Then I got a solid night's rest in a great room. And before I hit the road, I hit the breakfast bar, where I got my fuel for the next 26 miles.
Great endings begin here. That's why at Choice Hotels, we give you cozy rooms, free breakfast, and right now when you take 2 separate trips, you earn 1 night free. Book now at choicehotels.com.
Making jackets that are built to perform anywhere is hard work. And at LL Bean, we take our job very seriously. Guaranteed quality, no matter what you're up against. From LL Bean.
Okay, Patrick, one more stop. Let's go base, shark, blitz. Base, shark, blitz.
When the game's on the line.
Okay, this is for the game.
The NFL trusts Duracell Quantum to power their game day communication.
Black Knight did that. Abort, he's keeping it.
Duracell Quantum lasts up to 35% longer than the competition.
Somewhere out there, a high-tech factory is being built, preparing to manufacture world-class products. And it's happening right here in America. At WeatherTech, American workers in American factories are creating the highest quality automotive accessories. including laser-measured, custom-fit floor liners. Order yours today at WeatherTech.com or call 1-800-CarMats. WeatherTech, proudly made in America.
Monday morning on America's Morning Headquarters, it's 5 times more poisonous than a rattlesnake's bite. And soggy, cool conditions help these critters multiply as you're home at risk. Plus, weather-themed do-it-yourself costumes just in time for Halloween. Join us Monday morning starting at 7 a.m. on the biggest weather hour anywhere. America's Morning Headquarters, following Wake Up with Al, only on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 79 degrees under fair skies. Today, lots of sunshine. High 80. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 67. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Monday, mostly sunny skies. High 83. Winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
See the weather like never before.
Look at this! Listen to that!
Amazing starts here. The Weather Channel Mornings.
See the rotation in the clouds and everything. There's a tornado forming right there.
Oh, my God! At least 8 buildings are damaged. A number of homes.
3 into a building.
Shingles flying everywhere.
Look at the wood being flung around.
But there's a bunch of debris flying around in the air. This can't be real. We don't get tornadoes.
Oh, yes, you do, just not very often.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Weather Center Live. I'm Kate Parker.
And I'm Mark Elliott. And of course, as you watch our show today, we want to see what you are up to. And you can send us pictures of what your weekend looks like using the hashtag #YourWeekend. All one word on social media.
Speaking of hashtag Your Weekend, take a look at Debbie Barr, who shared this beautiful sunflower. This is gorgeous from a trip to the pumpkin patch. A lot of folks heading out to the pumpkin patch this weekend. A lot of them don't need sweaters, but if you're in the Pacific Northwest, you need the galoshes. You need the rain jacket, and dare I say, I don't know what's going to protect you from that tree, Mark.
Yeah, watch out. It's coming right for you, I suppose. The Pacific Northwest getting hit with hurricane force winds, or higher than hurricane force in some of those gusts. Just absolutely, I mean, picturesque, I suppose. Yeah, why not? The first big windstorm of the season in Seattle. They often get these huge storms coming down from the Gulf of Alaska. But look at this. This time lapse shows you Mary's Peak. This is an area in Oregon that got winds of over 90 miles per hour. And you can just feel the motion of that storm. Granted, we've sped it up a little bit for you, but my goodness, what a change there. Because we've gone from 90 mile per hour gusts to now, between the storm systems, Mary's Peak is not seeing any wind. In fact, they just reported a 0 on the wind scale, which like today at most 5 to 7 mile per hour winds, even at Mary's Peak. That said, this storm really packed a punch across the area. The wind gusts that we did see were very impressive. Here's Mary's Peak, 91 miles per hour for you. Towards Cape Mears, 87 miles per hour. Vancouver Lake, 70. Even further inland, well above 60 miles per hour for those winds. And here's the thing. That was just storm number 1, or maybe storm number 2. It depends how you're keeping track. But there's another one on the way. A stormy northwest pattern will continue into midweek. And this next storm has some tropical influence from Ana and could be just as impressive. I mean, look at this. In Seattle, 36.44 inches of rainfall since January 1st. That's almost a foot above average, while much of the West has seen a long-term drought. you are making up the difference in the Seattle area. Here's Seattle right now with mostly cloudy skies. You can see kind of impulses of showers and storms coming on through. Southwest winds close to 15 miles per hour, so causing the chance for airport delays. Nothing right now, but between the showers and the storms and the wind, we could see some of those issues as the day goes on. Here's the Portland area, and again, you are in between the showers at the moment. You had one band come through. There's more off towards your west. And as we look towards the timing of this whole thing, that onshore flow continues. Intermountain west, you'll see some snow in the higher elevations. Most of this snow is above mountain pass criteria for the I-5 corridor, so that's good news. But look at this, our next storm is knocking on the doorstep by late on Monday. So right now we've got this big dip in the jet stream. Our next storm is off the coast and starting to get organized. Here's some of the remnants from Ana and our next big Pacific storm that's going to be moving on through. So this is another powerful storm. Another big dip in the jet stream will carve its way through. This is the conveyor belt. We're going to see all that moisture getting thrown back towards the Pacific Northwest coastline. So not only are we talking about more rain, even though we wish we could bring that into central and southern California, it's up north. It's also going to bring more wind. And watch the wind gust numbers here, right? 30, 40, 50, if not 60 mile per hour winds again towards the coastal areas and especially in those higher elevations. So Kate, it is going to be an extremely gusty scenario. We do, of course, still have baseball going on, and it looks like a decent day for the weather, but the wind's a factor for the Giants also. Kate, over to you.
Yeah, those winds could be a big problem. Let's go somewhere else where it was a little turbulent last night. Take a look at Lake Superior. This is from Calumet, Michigan here, and you can see it's a little bit angry. Look at those waves roaring as that sun sets. Beautiful looking, but here's the deal. Could we see our next system starting to move into the Midwest? Well, it certainly looks like it. Temperatures running above average, so it's actually pretty nice. But look at the rainfall so far this year in Chicago. Now, you have seen over 6 inches above average rainfall-wise, so quite a bit of that, and we're going to continue to watch for those above average rainfall amounts. You'll notice here temperatures are in the 50s across the upper Midwest. Not bad for this time of year in Chicago. 54 degrees. It could be a lot worse. You'll notice as well that we've got a 29-degree dew point. What does that mean? Well, it means that it feels awfully comfortable in Chicago. You've got those low dew points, which means that your humidity values are nice and low. It means that you are feeling good in the Windy City. You are going to enjoy that for now because look at this dip in the jet stream. This is going to be what plows across the country. When that happens, that's when we're going to be seeing our next system start to make its way into the upper Midwest. There's that low that follows the jet stream, all that moisture being shoved out in front of that cold front, and that's when we're going to start to see a couple of those showers and thunderstorms and a change in the temperatures as well. So that cold front plunges south. This is going to be into the latter part of this upcoming week as we get closer to Halloween. So what does that mean for your forecast? Well, for tomorrow, it means some showers through Minnesota into even farther south into Illinois and even a couple across I-70 in Missouri. And then you'll notice in addition to that, we have some showers that are going to be hanging out in Indiana come Tuesday. By Wednesday, it moves even farther east. So if you have any midweek plans in the Northeast, it could be a little on the wet side where you'll see those scattered showers and thunderstorms. But what about the end of this month? We're talking Halloween timing. Could it be cooler? Well, it looks like those temperatures are going to drop from 76 today down to 59 by Monday into Tuesday in Chicago. So those are some big changes for you. Cincy, you see those temperatures drop and become more seasonable as well. So we'll be watching that in Cincinnati. And take a look at that. There's that cool air along with that jet stream dip. That's going to be through the middle part of this week and heading into Halloween. It looks like it will be cooler for the kiddos that are trick-or-treating in the upper Midwest. Closer to average, though. It doesn't look like a major drop, like it's going to be extra cold, but it does look like it'll be cooler, certainly, than it is this weekend, Mark.
And the end of October, Kate, marks the beginning of marathon season. And this morning, the Marine Corps Marathon kicked off in Arlington, Virginia, running right on through the D.C. area with more than 30,000 of your closest friends and fellow runners taking part. And you know what? This marathon and the runners and really all of us, we want to say thank you to all the service members who are there. Now, the New York City Marathon is next weekend, and right now, the Northeast, you're seeing kind of your last hurrah of warmth, right? You look at D.C. right now, 66 degrees. dew points are low, the winds out of the northwest, a perfect day for some running, because as you're running, you want to add about 20 degrees onto the actual air temperature for what you will feel like while you're out there doing high exertion activity like running. And you know, it is comfortably cool in the northeast right now. A few of those clouds streaming off the Great Lakes, trying to make their way all the way to the coastline, but they're not going to have it a successful time for New York, Philly, or DC. You'll have plenty of sun. The winds are fairly light, some gusts in Philly and DC, Pittsburgh, 15 to 20 mile per hour winds, but those winds will subside as well. And those winds will shift around for the beginning of the week, coming southerly, and that's going to help to warm things back up. So although you're comfortably cool right now, you're actually going to jump to 10 to 15 degrees above average for the early portion of the week. You heard Kate telling you about the cool air that's coming by the end of the week. But first, you get this nice little taste of the previous season, if you will. Mid-60s Wednesday in New York City as well as in D.C. They look at D.C. mid to upper 60s and, if not, and then near 80 by Tuesday before the next cool down comes. Kate?
Well, Mark, it's a driving danger that only happens this time of year. Fallen, wet leaves on the road make it feel like you're driving on ice. We're going to show you exactly how much space should be between the cars as you're driving, and we've got the math to prove it.
Currently in our area, 80 degrees under fair skies. Today, lots of sunshine. High 80. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 67. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Monday, mostly sunny skies. High 83. Winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
At CVS Health, we took a deep breath and made the decision to quit selling cigarettes in our CVS pharmacies. Now we invite smokers to quit too with our comprehensive program. We just want to help everyone, everywhere, breathe a little easier. Introducing CVS Health, because health is everything.
Let's take these piggies out for new carpet. No, not those. These. Let's get in touch with texture. Something with a twist. Let's look at loops and get a feel for patterns in all sorts of colors. But let's not break the bank. Then, let's get it rolled out right. The perfect carpet? Yeah. Let's bring it all the way home. Let's do this. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Schedule a measure today. Carpet installation is now just $37.
We were flattered when Regenerist beat $100 cream. Flabbergasted when we creamed a $300 cream. For about $30, Regenerist Microsculpting Cream hydrates better than over 15 of America's most expensive luxury creams. Regenerist. Olay your best beautiful.
Can this decadent fruit top pastry with indulgent streusel crumble be from Fiber One? New Fiber One streusel.
Wow, this is what we're giving out?
Yep.
I love Kit Kat and Reese's candy.
Have fun trick-or-treating.
Trick-or-treat!
Have a monstrously big Halloween with your favorite Hershey's candies. Walmart.
Bridgestone's new Drive Guard tires are engineered to take a puncture and go up to 50 miles.
We can drive 50 miles on a flat, and you have an app that makes nails pop up?
Yep.
We could rule the world. But I've got carpool at 3, though, so
that time
we could, mess with the world.
She inspires you. No question about that. But your erectile dysfunction, that could be a question of blood flow. Cialis Tadalafil for daily use helps you be ready anytime the moment's right. You can be more confident in your ability to be ready. And the same Cialis is the only daily ED tablet approved to treat ED and symptoms of BPH, like needing to go frequently or urgently. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medicines, and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as it may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Do not drink alcohol in excess. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, get medical help right away for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, or any allergic reactions like rash, hives, swelling of the lips, tongue, or throat, or difficulty breathing or swallowing, stop taking Cialis and get medical help right away. Ask your doctor about Cialis for daily use and a free 30-tablet trial.
Check.
Uh-huh.
Energizer protects your devices from damaging leaks, guaranteed.
What if there was a credit card where the reward was that new car smell and the freedom of the open road? A card that gave you that I'm 16 and just got my first car feeling. Presenting the Buy Power card from Capital One. Redeem earnings toward part or even all of a new Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, or Cadillac with no limits. So every time you use it, you're not just shopping for goods. You're shopping for something great. Learn more at buypowercard.com.
It's Sunday, your day to unplug. With CenturyLink as your technology partner, our visionary cloud infrastructure and dedicated support free you to focus on what matters. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Heavy rain has caused massive flooding in Athens, Greece. It turned roadways into waterways. More than 5 inches of rain has fallen so far, and this was caused by the remnants of Hurricane Gonzalo, believe it or not. That pesky little hurricane not going away. Emergency crews have pumped water out of at least 800 homes and businesses, and it's estimated that more than 250 cars have been swept away. Talk about a tremendous storm there. Back here at home, this week's nor'easter knocked leaves off of trees and onto the roads, and a Halloween week storm could be coming. Meteorologist Chris Warren explains why wet leaves could be as dangerous as slippery ice.
Driving on wet roads is treacherous enough. Add leaves, and the results far worse. In the 10-year period from 2002 to 2012, 17% of all vehicle crashes involved wet pavement. And that 17% makes up most of the weather-related crashes.
Well, you wouldn't think about it, fall being so beautiful, but when those falling leaves hit the roadway, they can be very slick because it's something between your tires and the road surface. So what ends up happening is you actually create an icy condition,
making stopping extremely difficult. The biggest piece of advice?
But when it's raining or it's foggy, which we do have a lot of that type of weather this time of year, or leaves are falling on the roadway, especially in a heavy treed area, you want to give yourself twice the distance.
There's a definite science to figuring out what that distance should be. It has to do with the speed of the car and what's called the coefficient of friction. In other words, how much connection there is between the tires and the road. When it's wet and there are leaves, there is less friction and traction suffers. And that depends on many factors, including the road surface, the amount of leaves, and the amount of rain, along with tire treads. So let's look at an example. Driving on dry pavement at 40 miles an hour, it will take about 60 feet to stop safely, or about 4 car lengths. But now let's add in wet pavement and leaves. At the same 40 miles an hour, it will take about 150 feet to stop safely, equaling about 10 car lengths. And all conditions equal, every time you double your speed, the stopping distance quadruples. There are other hazards as well. Leaves covering the roads can mask potholes, bumps, or curbs. Car maintenance is important too. Check your tires and tire pressure, and replace windshield wipers every 6 months. But if you do find yourself sliding,
you always want to turn, not aggressively, but gently into the slide and add power. That will allow you to drive away from the situation.
Color Seekers have 31 states and 3,000 miles of roads to navigate. Throw in rain, and you must keep your distance. I'm meteorologist Chris Warren, the Weather Channel.
Nothing like a little math to wake you up on a Sunday morning. And if you're waking up to get driving on those roads and you want to stay safe, let's get right to Mark for a travel update.
Thanks, Kate. And we're, of course, watching the Pacific Northwest. Here's a live look at Seattle, where you are in between the showers right now. It actually doesn't seem so bad if you're hitting the road right now. However, you will certainly run back into those showers in the Pacific Northwest. Here's the Seattle area, right? We've got 56 degrees, steady showers. Watch for some ponding on the roadways. In fact, Portland, really no different, as you will see rain moving in, plus some wind moving in, so slick spots possible here. The I-5 is going to be very difficult. I suppose, if it's any consolation, that slower ride because of the rain will cost you a little less. Gas prices at about a 5-year low at this point, so that's always nice. Towards the northeast, in Buffalo on I-90, some scattered showers are possible. Cleveland, you shouldn't have any major problems, and Chicago looks good. Lots of sunshine there. So if you are traveling across those areas, that is a good thing. And across the southeast, it's going to be quiet as well. Look at Nashville, looking gorgeous. Kate, over to you.
Okay, well, Anna's still kicking up waves in the Pacific, and it could be headed toward Alaska. Next, Dr. Greg Postel is stopping by next to analyze what we've got going on there. But first, we're counting down the top 3 October hurricanes. Hurricane expert Brian Norcross taking us through the biggest, baddest storms in history.
Introducing Nexium 24-Hour. Finally, the purple pill, the #1 prescribed acid-blocking brand, comes without a prescription for frequent heartburn. Get complete protection. Nexium Level Protection.
Tomcat bait kills up to 12 mice, faster than Decon. What will we do with all of these dead mice? Tomcat presents Dead Mouse Theater.
Hey, old frick.
Hey, Ignar.
What's up with you?
Funny you ask. I'm actually here to pillage your town.
But we went to summer camp together.
Summer camp is over.
Tomcat. Engineered to kill.
Discover all the naturally moisturizing flavors of Burt's Bees Lip Balm.
Tonight at 10. The Weather Channel unravels nature's darkest secrets.
I saw something. I don't know how to explain it.
Every Sunday.
It's a story that's got a life of its own.
A new tale of weather legend.
It may have just looked like a storm, but they were dealing with something far worse.
American Supernatural. Tonight at 10 on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 80 degrees under fair skies. Today, lots of sunshine. High 80. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 67. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Monday, mostly sunny skies. High 83. Winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Be one with it, and it will be one with you. Be one with your tires, and the road will be one with you. Hankook Tires.
Hankook Tire. Be one with the road, no matter the conditions.
This Halloween, when things go bump in the night, inspire daring pursuits that thrill and delight with goodies from PetSmart. Now save up to 25% on all Halloween treats and up to 75% on all Halloween costumes. PetSmart.
Started my Camry. Picked up someone I hadn't seen in far too long. Went somewhere we'd both never been. Did something we'd both never done. And was reminded that the most important things in life aren't things, they're people.
The bold new Camry.
One bold choice leads to another. Toyota, let's go places.
Gorilla Tape, of course.
Gorilla Tape's double-thick adhesive grips rough and uneven surfaces for a strong, weather-resistant hold for the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
Life isn't measured in how many days we have, but what we do with them. This year, you could do what you've always done. Or you could awaken your senses and connect with the world as it was meant to be. That voice inside you, that's Alaska calling. Because vacations, like days, are measured by what we do with them.
Mary Lynn Magar, a champion for our small businesses and our economy. Magar led the effort to pass a manufacturing tax break to create clean, high-wage jobs. And Magar fought to rein in spending and cut taxes and fees by over $500 million, so our seniors and working families could save more of the money they earn. No wonder then that Mary Lynn Magar has been endorsed by the Florida Chamber of Commerce. Mary Lynn Magar, real leadership getting results.
Get luxury for less at Alpacker Lincoln. Enjoy incredible savings on Lincoln's best-selling models, like the new 2015 Lincoln MKZ, just $299 a month, or a 2014 Lincoln MKS, just $379 a month. Enjoy luxury for less with bottom-line windshield pricing. Only at Alpacker Lincoln on Military Trail. And remember,
before you buy, Price Packer.
Who knows the smart ways to stretch a dollar and simple ways to get a smile? Zulily.com. Something special every day.
See the weather like never before.
Look at this! Listen to that!
Amazing starts here. The Weather Channel mornings.
Well, it may feel like hurricane season is winding down or like it never really got started this year, but technically there's still a month to go, and destructive hurricanes can and do happen in October.
So we're counting down the top 3 October hurricanes on record, starting with number 3. Here's our senior hurricane specialist, Brian Norcross, with more.
Coming in third on our top 5 list is the most recent Category 3 to hit the U.S. This was Hurricane Wilma at its peak Category 5 strength with the lowest pressure ever measured in a hurricane. A weaker version plowed through southeast Florida on October 24th, 2005, ripping open buildings from Miami to the Palm Beaches. Wilma was the 3rd most expensive hurricane on record at the time, capping that incredible hurricane season of 2005. And the 9 years since Wilma is the longest stretch in our modern record without a Category 3 or above hurricane hitting the U.S. And I'll be back with number 2 shortly.
Ooh, look at that for a teaser. All right, time now for your tropical update.
Hurricane specialist Dr. Greg Postel is in the lab. Doc, what are you watching?
Kate and Mark, you know, I'm watching a pretty interesting tropical system in the Arabian Sea on the other side of the world that may very well make landfall in Pakistan or India in the next couple of days. Let's have a look at it. It's a tropical storm strength system right out in here, and it is likely to move, I think, north and then northeastward. Right now, it is allegedly a 65-mile-per-hour system, and on its way, we think, in this direction, kind of like that, and maybe even strengthening to a hurricane by, say, even tomorrow. How about that? Monday evening. So we'll watch this. It could be an international story. Those areas are not so well suited to handle tropical cyclone impacts, so we'll obviously have a close feed on that. Let's have a look elsewhere in the tropics as well. We've talked a lot about post-now tropical cyclone Ana. This is the one that's going to bring some wind and rain, extra wind and rain, I should say, from a system that's already going to coming into the northwest. But I want to take the time a little bit to now look at Invest 94L. This is in the Western Caribbean Sea right now. And this area is going to sort of just hang out, sort of steady state for the next few days. It's not going to do much with a low probability of development, only at 20%, because there are some factors here that are working against development. Strong winds aloft among one of those factors. But it's going to be hanging out in the same area for days to come, and for that reason, perhaps in the next few days, the winds aloft will weaken a little bit and allow some of these thunderstorms to get a little bit better organized. It's going to take a while because, you know, if you look on this picture, you can actually see some clouds kind of moving southward like that. off the Gulf of Mexico into the Caribbean. That's some fall-like air for them that is moving into the region, and that tends to really dramatically reduce the odds of tropical development. And so that's why we're not going to see anything certainly in the next day or two. But perhaps the air mass will recover a little bit, and we'll maybe see some development down there along or near this dying out front that's down that way. Again, the odds are small, but we'll keep an eye on it. And if it were to do anything, it would probably sort of work its way toward the west near Honduras and maybe get to other parts of Central America, Belize in particular. That would be by the middle of this week. Now here's our final advisory in the Pacific of post-tropical cyclone Ana. I'll talk more about this coming up at 20 past, 1 o'clock. Stay tuned for that because that may impact the Pacific Northwest. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Doc. And park rangers at one of America's most popular state parks say bears are wandering into populated areas. No, not the bears, but actually the bears. It's all because of California's drought.
Yeah, you're taking a live look right now, Yosemite National Park. No bears in the view just right there, but the search for food and water is leading bears to new territory, and it's not great news for tourists and campers in the park.
Yeah, episodes of bears showing up in the campgrounds is up 35% since January compared to last year. And officials say the drought is cutting off the supply of berries and other food, which is forcing those bears to expand their territory.
Oh, so let's take a look at the forecast there, see if the bears have some good weather. Well, at least it's nice for foraging. Woohoo!
Right.
Picnic baskets look delicious.
Hey, boo-boo, perfect weather for you as well. Low to mid-50s Sunday and Monday. A great hiking time through the national parks.
Just be careful if you're out there. We don't want any bear encounters. As cute and fuzzy as they look,
it's true.
They can probably rip off your arm.
Probably.
Okay, Weather Center Live coming back in just 30 minutes. But first, it's a brand new episode of the hit show Weather Geeks.
Don't miss Dr. Marshall Shepard and the gang discussing the moment-by-moment account of Superstorm Sandy. Can't believe it was 2 years ago already.
Wow.
Currently in our area, 81 degrees under fair skies. Today, lots of sunshine. High 80. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 67. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Monday, mostly sunny skies. High 83. Winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
And welcome to Weather Geeks, and on today's show, the untold stories from Superstorm Sandy. I'm joined today by Dr. Catherine Miles, who is the author of a new book, Superstorm: 9 Days Inside Hurricane Sandy. And thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it's a real pleasure to be here.
Now tell me about this book. Look, Superstorm Sandy really changed the weather community and weather enterprise in many ways. What was your motivation for writing the book?
Well, I started off really interested in this idea of risk and how it was that very different types of people ended up in the storm at the same time. We had the crew of the Bounty, the ship that very tragically sank during the storm, the Coast Guard who went out to rescue them, and then the hurricane hunters.
Right.
3 very different groups of people all in this cataclysmic storm at the same time, and I was really curious about their motivation and how they dealt with ultimately risking their lives to venture out there.
So you had access to obviously many of these people. What about the National Weather Service or Hurricane Center personnel? I know I've had a chance to take a look at the book. You had some pretty good access during and afterwards to some of these folks. So what was that like?
Well, and that very quickly became the heart of the book. It became a book about how we predict weather, how we deal with weather, and what we need to do. And so for someone who grew up loving the weather and watching the Weather Channel, I am a total weather geek, proud weather geek.
Good.
And getting a chance to spend a week at the National Hurricane Center, some of these National Weather Service regional offices, was a real dream come true.
Yeah, no, Rick Knabb, the director of Hurricane Center, he and I are classmates from grad school, so I'm sure he treated you well down there while visiting. But let's get into it. there were some challenges that you revealed in the book in terms of the warning process. The National Hurricane Center had a really good handle on what was going on, but there were some challenges in terms of what we call the storm, how we warn for it. What were some of the lessons that you took from your research on the book?
Well, the storm, as you know, started off as a very traditional hurricane. And in fact, the forecasts in terms of both intensity and track were really quite good by the National Hurricane Center.
Sure.
But what happened several days in is the storm began to take on this hybrid characteristic.
Sure.
And as soon as that happened, we saw some really serious gaps in how we deal with weather information, the triage system, and ultimately the dissemination of information.
For folks watching that, what do you mean by that?
Well, when we have this emergency happening, what do we do? Where do we go first? Who do we get the information to? How do we deal with the crises as they arise?
Right. So, I mean, we know that the storm at some point transitioned from a tropical system getting its energy from the ocean to a mid-latitude system getting its energy from the atmosphere. But to the public, does it matter? Are there certain warnings that actually public will actually perk up to more if it's a hurricane versus a mid-latitude storm? What did you find?
There have been a lot of studies on this, and the important thing that we know absolutely is that when people are confused, they don't act.
Right.
And what we saw with this particular storm is as it made that transition, as the National Hurricane Center handed over responsibility to the regional National Weather Service offices, several things happened. First, and perhaps most importantly, the emergency management offices in places like New York City found themselves flummoxed. They had trained over and over again to deal with data as it would be presented by the National Hurricane Center. As soon as that data came in a new form and from a new office, there was a lot of confusion, there was a lot of mistrust, and then we saw this domino effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
well, for the general public, what we see is that people don't respond to high wind warnings the way they respond to tropical storm warnings, and they don't respond to tropical storm warnings the way they do hurricane warnings. So people really do make decisions based on labels.
And the message really was, maybe as scientists, and I'm guilty of it with things like what the storm is, whether it's the polar vortex or not. I've got some thoughts on that. But for the public, they don't really care about all this science geeky stuff. They just want to know what is happening and how they should react. And so I think that's one of the things that was revealed. Now, I know that at times the National Weather Service perhaps differed in some of the perspective that was presented in the book. And I think they did respond to some of these things. I know that there have been perhaps some feedback from the Weather Service. What would you say about some of the things? Because they have changed some of their procedures now. They're going to be issuing storm surge forecast now. What would you say about their response since the book?
Well, it's been great. I mean, immediately after the storm, they convened and created a new system where the National Hurricane Center can continue to issue warnings even after the storm transitions. There's some great new surge technology.
And I think there's an option with that, too, in terms of them being able to issue or hand off,
And we haven't tried it yet. We're hoping it works. We won't really know until this kind of thing happens again. But, I mean, these are very nimble people. These are people who take their jobs very seriously. And more than anything, they want to keep the American public safe.
Now, I want to get into something that just kept coming up in the book, and you and I were on an NPR show together on the future of the weather satellite program in the U.S. You just kept talking about understaffed offices, potential gaps in satellite coverage. What were some of the things that you revealed about our capacity from your research in the book in that regard?
You know, this is really an infrastructure issue, and we talk about things like bridge infrastructure and our need to invest in these decaying, rusting bridges or highways or subways or whatever else the case may be, the grid. But our weather infrastructure is just as important, and we really need to invest. We have these incredibly talented meteorologists who can't necessarily do their jobs because the funding isn't there.
Yeah, but I think the interesting thing is Sandy probably helped in that regard, because I think people realized how valuable the Weather Service and the people of the Weather Service and the private sector that interacts with them and academics are to the overall academy and the weather warning system. What surprised you most as you were writing this book? What did you learn? It was like, wow.
Well, it was that, really. It was this infrastructure question. It was finding out that, for instance, you know, the scatterometer, which checks winds, is broken, and they don't know when it's going to be replaced, or they didn't at the time. It was finding out that we might have a weather satellite gap. It was being at a National Weather Service office and watching the Doppler radar crash repeatedly on these meteorologists, and sort of scratching my head and thinking, you know, we're the wealthiest nation in the world, and we have these incredibly talented meteorologists, national security's at stake, and we're not not giving them the tools they need.
Well, as we see repeatedly, at times, often tragedy and disaster promotes response, and that's really, we need to be ahead of some of these issues, and I think we are getting ahead of it. But in terms of the story that you're talking about, we'll get into a little bit more of this in the next segment. We want to talk about some of the New York City Mayor Bloomberg and some of their responses in the next segment as well. But in terms of the overall book, do you have plans for, and we'll get to that in the next section. I want to wrap it up here. So some of the incredible facts and figures you may not know about Superstorm Sandy, we're going to deal with some of that with Catherine in the next segment. Plus, the sites we'll never forget. But first, our Geek of the Week. Jack Williams is a freelance science writer, retired USA Today weather editor. You know him from his work on the USA Today weather page. Jack has worked all over the country and has seen 4 hurricanes aboard the NOAA P-3 Hurricane Hunter aircraft. He is also a newly elected AMS fellow, so congrats to Jack Williams on that. And many of us read the weather book, Jack Williams.
When he first joined the Army, I was very nervous.
We didn't know what they would have him doing. But Bobby always had a plan. With unmatched training in over 150 careers beyond the battlefield, there are over 150 surprising ways to become Army strong. Talk to your son or daughter about opportunities in the Army.
You drop 40 grand on a new set of wheels, then wham, a minivan T-bones you. Guess what? Your insurance company will only give you $37,000 to replace it. Depreciation, they claim. How can my car depreciate before its first oil change, you ask? Maybe the better question is, why do you have that insurance company?
With Liberty Mutual New Car Replacement, we'll replace the full value of your car. See car insurance in a whole new light. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Monday morning on America's Morning Headquarters, it's 5 times more poisonous than a rattlesnake's bite. And soggy, cool conditions help these critters multiply as you're home at risk. Plus, weather-themed do-it-yourself costumes just in time for Halloween. Join us Monday morning starting at 7 a.m. on the biggest weather hour anywhere. America's Morning Headquarters, following Wake Up with Al, only on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 81 degrees under fair skies. Today, lots of sunshine. High 80. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 67. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Monday, mostly sunny skies. High 83. Winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
See the weather like never before.
Look at this! Listen to that!
Amazing starts here. The Weather Channel Mornings.
Let's take these piggies out for new carpet. No, not those. These. Let's get in touch with texture. Something with a twist. Let's look at loops and get a feel for patterns in all sorts of colors. But let's not break the bank. Then, let's get it rolled out right. The perfect carpet? Yeah. Let's bring it all the way home. Let's do this. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Schedule a measure today. Carpet installation is now just $37.
Bridgestone's new Drive Guard tires are engineered to take a puncture and go up to 50 miles.
We can drive 50 miles on a flat, and you have an app that makes nails pop up?
Yep.
We could rule the world. But I've got carpool at 3, though, so
that time
we could, mess with the world.
Check.
Aha.
Energizer protects your devices from damaging leaks. Guaranteed.
You smell nothing. You smell nothing.
Introducing the best lightweight litter for odor elimination, guaranteed. Fresh Step Extreme. Lightweight.
Let me tell you first, we are not ordering any evacuations as of this time for any parts of the city. We're making that decision based on the nature of this storm. Although we're expecting a large surge of water, it is not expected to be a tropical storm or hurricane-type surge. With this storm, we'll likely see a slow pileup of water rather than a sudden surge, which is what you would expect from a hurricane.
Now, you just heard those remarks from Mayor Bloomberg, and many people in the community feel that those remarks may have undermined the process. There was really a downplaying there, and you've talked about I've heard you talk about the Irene effect. What do you mean by that?
Well, a year earlier, obviously, Irene came through, and New York, in fact, issued massive evacuations. And most of the people who had those evacuations issued heeded them and left and went inland by and large. And a lot of those people who went inland were trapped by the inland flooding, returned home, found their homes completely unharmed. Right. And so almost exactly a year later, another storm barrels up the coast, and they think, well, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to get trapped inland while my house is looted. And so by and large, they stayed. Yeah, and I know even our own weather expert here, Brian Norcross, has talked about how that really kind of changed the tone, because I think the Hurricane Center and the Weather Service meteorologist at Mount Holly had a pretty good handle on this, and then you've got the mayor, a key leader, as you talked about in your book, that could have set the tone but didn't, missed an opportunity. Do you see that in your research? Was that across the board with policymakers and stakeholders? Did some kind of get it or get it later? What was your experience there with the research? New York was really anomalous, and for me, that was the most chilling moment in the book. The largest populated area in the region. With a lot of resources, but a lot of confusion. Everyone I talked to, both in the mayor's office and the New York City Office of Emergency Management, just described it as the fog of war. They said we were confused. We were getting information from the National Weather Service in Upton instead of the National Hurricane Center. They said Irene, so we thought it would be fine. And you see this very sort of strange press conference where Mayor Bloomberg is saying everything is going to be fine. And of course, we know now it wasn't. Right. And yeah, I think, you know, as Brian Norcross talked about and some of the things that he was saying on the air and in his blogs, Sandy was such an unprecedented storm. I mean, sometimes you have to break the rules. We saw that the meteorologist in charge in New Jersey there, he broke the rules. He issued a passionate personal plea. What were your thoughts on that? Because that was really out of the box, but it probably saved lives, though. It absolutely saved lives. And for me, he's a real hero of the book, Gary Szatzky. This is a guy who just works so hard and is so dedicated. And he watched the press conference. He saw what was happening, as Brian Norcross did. And they both decided to take action well beyond the purview of their actual jobs, and no doubt they saved lives. Yeah, and eventually Mayor Bloomberg and the city of New York came around as well. Do you think they came around in time? I know that has been discussed and debated, but eventually everyone got on the same page and there were evacuations. There were, but they left 8 hours before they closed mass transit. They were just 6 hours before they closed transit for people with disabilities and special needs. There was a major lawsuit that was just decided that said, look, you know, we are not addressing the needs of New York's most vulnerable citizens, and they won a multi-million-dollar class action lawsuit because of Sandy. Yeah, and that's a great point too, because one of the points you make in the book, and social science research shows, is people need a couple of days to really spin up when there's a tragic or war event like this coming up. And we'll talk about some more in the next segment. So on the next segment on Weather Geeks, we've run the numbers on Superstorm Sandy, and some of them might surprise you. Plus, after dozens of interviews, what eye-opening moment stood out to Catherine Miles as she researched the record-breaking storm?
Here at High Acres, we always say, life is better on the farm. And that's because we love what we do, which is growing the best tasting fruit available. After months of nurturing, our orchards are bursting with crispy, delicious apples. And we can't wait for you to taste them. That's why we work with Walmart. They help us deliver some of the freshest apples available, backed by their 100% money-back guarantee.
Picked by farmers, guaranteed by us.
Progresso. Used to people have my kids loving vegetables. Well, vegetables taste better in our savory broth. Vegetables? No, soup.
Oh, soup.
Loaded with vegetables, packed with taste.
She's still the one for you. And Cialis for daily use helps you be ready anytime the moment is right. Cialis is also the only daily ED tablet approved to treat symptoms of BPH, like needing to go frequently. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medicines, and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as it may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Do not drink alcohol in excess. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, get medical help right away for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, or any allergic reactions like rash, hives, swelling of the lips, tongue, or throat, or difficulty breathing or swallowing, stop taking Cialis and get medical help right away. Ask your doctor about Cialis for daily use and a free 30-tablet trial.
There's a reason no one says easy like Monday morning. Sundays are the Warriors' day to unplug and recharge. What if this feeling could last all week? With CenturyLink as your trusted partner, it can. Our visionary cloud infrastructure and global broadband network free you to focus on what matters. With custom communication solutions and dedicated support, your business can shine all week long. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
It's just freaking me out.
If you miss Tonight on the Weather Channel,
This is crazy.
you'll never know how twisted weather can be.
Is it real? Yeah, it's real.
Make every sale when you accept credit cards with Square. There's one low rate for every card. And you see money in your bank account as fast as the next business day. Send digital receipts, get instant feedback from your customers, and sell even more with real-time sales reports. Take care of your business with Square. Get started for free at square.com.
Hey, Matt, what's up?
Just looking over the company bills.
Is that what we pay for internet?
Yep, DSL's about $90 a month.
That's funny. For that price with Comcast Business, I think you get like 50 megabits.
Wow, that's fast.
Personally, I prefer slow internet. There is something about the sweet, meditative glow of a loading website.
Don't listen to the naysayer. Switch to Comcast Business today and get 50 megabits per second for $89.95. Comcast Business, built for business.
Free 1000. Ready for a new breed of broker? There's a name for people like you. Trade King. Switch today. See the weather like never before.
Look at this!
Listen to that!
Amazing starts here. The Weather Channel Mornings.
Currently in our area, 80 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Today, mostly sunny. High 80. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mainly clear. Low 67. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Monday, generally sunny. High 81. Winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
And it's time to geek out on some incredible statistics surrounding Superstorm Sandy, and there you see some of them on the screen. It's second costliest natural disaster in U.S. history, 650,000 homes destroyed. Is that something that surprised you or was on par for the scale of storm?
I was actually surprised. I thought it might be higher.
Yeah, I would think so too. One of the interesting things about Sandy, it was such a large storm in footprint size. I mean, it was a Category 1 level storm at landfall in the U.S., but it was huge in terms of size. In terms of some of the people, and here you see some of the more statistics. 8.5 million customers lost power. Record storm surge of 9.4 feet at Battery Park in New York City. Tropical storm force winds spanned nearly 1,000 miles. I've been in this field for a long time. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, some of the people you talked to, what were some of their responses on the scale and size of this thing?
Well, I think that's just it, is that nobody knew what to do with this. And you had some of the most seasoned meteorologists in the business just kind of shaking shaking their heads and saying, what is this crazy thing?
Right. But it's interesting, though. We the models, the European model, and eventually GFS, we saw it coming. We even saw the left turn, and thankfully, because of some of those satellite data sets that we mentioned being assimilated into the model. And so I think that's the point of why it's so important to have these things around. What was just sort of if you were to sum up the key points from your book on 9 days inside Superstorm Sandy, what would you say those are?
Well, it really comes back to what we started the show with, and that's this idea of risk. One statistic that I would put up there with the others is that 70% of the people who were ordered to evacuate did not evacuate. And there's a real lesson in that.
Yes. Well, in meteorology, we deal with the cry wolf syndrome, or, my cousin survived it 30 years ago, so I can survive it too. I think there are issues with people's perception of it's not a category 3 or greater, I'm going to be fine. So these are big challenges in the field of social sciences as well. Any memorable stories or anything memorable in terms of some of the people? I know you talk to people on cruise ships, on sailing ships, folks in the Hurricane Hunter. Any memorable stories that jump out at you?
Well, they're all wonderful stories, and some of them are tragic, and some of them are heroic. And, the Gold Star Award winners for me are Gary Szatzky, as I mentioned, the folks at the National Hurricane Center, and the Hurricane Hunters, who really are the unsung heroes and provide an amazing amount of essential data that's really helping these forecasts work.
And I want to emphasize, even though you were focusing on the sort of 9 days up to the book, the National Weather Service did address many of these issues. I think that we learned quite a bit from Sandy as well. So I think that going forward, Sandy will end up being an event that will likely save lives and change procedures. In terms of future storms, were there any things that in terms of the water level, storm surge, about that? Because the water was a big story in the event with Sandy, and I think people kind of underestimate the power of water. I really noticed that in some of the imagery. I mean, was that your sense as well?
Surge is the story with a hurricane. I mean, most lay people think wind, right? We think, oh no, it's going to blow trees down and things like that. But surge over and over and over again is what kills people. And, people think surge is going to be this creeping effect. But in the case of Sandy, it was like something out of a horror movie. It was a wall of water that rose in seconds, and people couldn't get away.
Yeah, I find that people think they see waves on the beach and they think a surge is like a wave, and they don't realize it's really this large dome of water that's being shoved on. But thankfully, we have the experimental storm surge forecast model. By the way, I was really surprised at the fact that the person at the Hurricane Center is really basically one person, and that was shocking to me. And as I read your book, what were your feelings there?
One incredibly hardworking, talented guy, and he should have a staff. He does have some contractors who work for him, but they can't work at night. They can't work on the weekends. So we have this one guy toiling down there, and there again is the infrastructure issue. He needs a staff. He has the technology, the GIS technology, to map this if he has the manpower. We have the capability really to issue 7-day forecasts.
Right.
If we can provide the funds we need for the software and for the messaging.
Absolutely. And we have to end it there. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. You can find us on Twitter at WX Geeks. We also have a Facebook page where you'll find clips from today's show, as well as some of our past shows. We'll see you right back here next week on Weather Geeks.
Oh yeah, that's going down. Oh, let's get some rocks back.
Health can change in a minute. So CVS Health is changing healthcare, making it more accessible and affordable, with over 900 locations for walk-in medical care and more on the way. Minute Clinic, another innovation from CVS Health, because health is everything.
Lowe's presents How to Make It Quiet by Being Loud.
Save up to 20% off select major appliances, $3.99 and more, plus 5% off with your Lowe's card.
Can this decadent fruit top pastry with indulgent streusel crumble be from Fiber One? New Fiber One streusel.
good.
Boat protection people love. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
You know, if you play football for a long time like I did, you're going to learn to deal with a lot of pain. But it is nothing like the pain that shingles causes. Man, when I got shingles, it was something awful. It was like being blindsided by some linebacker. You don't see it coming. Boom. It was this painful rash, little blisters, red, ugly stuff, lots of them. Not a good deal. If you've had chicken pox, we all remember chicken pox, well, that shingles virus is already inside of you. And it ain't pretty when it comes out. Now, I'm not telling you this so that you'll feel sorry for me. I'm just here to tell you that 1 out of 3 people are going to end up getting shingles. I was one of them. Take it from a guy who's had his fair share of pain. You don't want to be tackled by shingles. So please, go talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
Talk to your doctor or pharmacist about your risk.
This fall, you've got to watch the Weather Channel mornings.
It will all start with the weather.
The weather's too important to cover in a few minutes.
It's starting to intensify.
Because it's not just about your forecast.
Look at this. Listen to that.
See the weather like never before. Amazing starts here. The Weather Channel mornings.
Currently in our area, 80 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Today, mostly sunny. High 80. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mainly clear. Low 67. Winds north-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Monday, generally sunny. High 81. Winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
See the weather like never before.
Look at this. Listen to that.
Amazing starts here. The Weather Channel mornings.
See the rotation in the clouds and everything. There's a tornado forming right there.
Oh my God!
At least 8 buildings are damaged. A number of homes.
Tree into a building.
Shingles flying everywhere.
Look at the wood being flung around.
There's a bunch of debris flying around in the air.
This can't be real. We don't get tornadoes.
Oh, yes, you do get tornadoes. Welcome back to Weather Center Live. I'm Kate Parker.
And I'm Mark Elliott. And of course, scary scenes this week. Hopefully your weather right now is better than that. And if you are outside having fun of any kind, we want to see it. Send us a picture using the hashtag YourWeekend on social media, all one word.
Yeah, look at this one. Taking a look at the Atlantic from Mark Lyons. Now that is what I call a sunrise. This was taking a call on his Disney cruise ship. Beautiful this morning. That's a good way to start your day on the cruise ship. Just packing on those pound-a-day weight requirements for the buffet. I know all about that, Mark.
I don't. I've never been on a cruise, but that one might convince me. You know, the dream is more like a nightmare in the Pacific Northwest. The hurricane force winds, or well above hurricane force winds, caused scenes like this after the storm. Anyway, this guy jumped on, but it gives you perspective of just how large that wind storm was. I mean, look at this huge tree. It must have been standing forever. It was in a local park there, came across, and we actually have a time lapse of the wind from this storm. This is over Mary's Peak in Oregon, where wind gusts wound up clocking in at 91 miles per hour. So it went from a clear blue sky to widespread overcast. Of course, we've sped this up. It is a time lapse, but you can see those clouds racing on by and just how violent the weather became as this storm system blew on through. There's the raindrops hitting the lens, and then finally some peaks of sun out in the distance, but just still bands of, and then the winds change direction as the storm goes by. So you see those clouds moving in a different direction. And this is what we're looking at right now over Mary's Peak. 2-mile-per-hour winds. Yeah, forget about the 91-mile-per-hour winds that you were seeing with that storm. But we have a lot of wind that we did measure during the storm. 91 miles per hour for Mary's Peak, but Cape Mears 87 miles per hour, Newport 76, Vancouver Lake 70, even further inland, West Richland at 64 miles per hour. And unfortunately, this is just one of the storms. So we've got another one on the way. So a stormy pattern into the Pacific Northwest, that's going to remain in play. And it's been soggy. Look at Seattle, right? Since January 1st, 36.44 inches of rain. The average 12 inches or so shy of that. We are well above pace for the Pacific Northwest. And you know what? Here we go again, right? It's cloudy in Seattle right now, but look off to your west. We've got more rain trying to go over the coastal range and over towards your neck of the woods. So we've got more rain on the way with this onshore flow. No delays at the airport right now, but that could change as the day goes on. Portland also seeing your next batch of showers and some steadier rain moving through. The I-5 has been a soggy go of things, and it's largely because of this onshore flow. So in and out of the showers in the Pacific Northwest as we go through the rest of our Sunday. Overnight Sunday, it's the interior sections of the Pacific Northwest, some higher elevation snows. Most of those snows well above mountain pass level. But here's the thing, our next storm system is off the coast. So we have one dip in the jet stream right now, another storm forming with some tropical influence out here across the Pacific Ocean. And that system is going to move on through. And again, it's going to be deja vu all over again, right? Big dip in the jet stream. That's the conveyor belt. All the moisture will get thrown on in. And so again, we're looking at another powerhouse storm with powerhouse wind as well. Look at the winds here along the coast, Kate. 40, 50, even 60 mile per hour winds cannot be ruled out with our next system. So if the trees weren't knocked down the last time, they could be with the next one. Over to you.
Ay caramba, those are some pretty gusty winds. All right, now we're going to go to something a little more beautiful. Look at Escoda, Michigan.
Lovely.
This is gorgeous, right? No leaves on the trees, though. Those have already fallen that far north, and you've got this is gorgeous. Can we look at this all day? Can we kind of have like a little zen moment? I think we all need it. That's beautiful. Oh, great. Now let's get into this next week because we've got another storm that could be moving into places like Michigan. We could be seeing this end of October kind of streak where we see several storms. It's a possibility. It happens pretty often that we get snowstorms, but will we see it this week? That's the question we're trying to answer. So Chicago, you are over 6¼ inches above average for rainfall, and that's since January 1st of this year. So you're plenty soaked, and you're also pretty warm right now, 54 degrees. That's a nice way to start the end of October. In Chicago, that's for sure. Indianapolis here, 59 degrees. St. Louis at 66 degrees right now. Look at the dew points. This is the measure of moisture in the atmosphere. So this really has a very large impact on how you feel outside. It's only 27. That is your dew point in Chicago. That means it is gorgeous. It is dry. It means you need to put on the lotion and the chapstick. Even though it's warm outside, you're definitely going to need that. But what's going to change? Well, this little dip in the jet stream, this little bugger that Mark was telling us about, this is going to plunge on off to the east. And whenever that happens, as it makes its way across the northern plains, that's when we're going to start to see that moisture increase. That's when we're going to see a low develop, and that's going to be our trigger for our next system to create some rainfall. That's going to be along that cold front, bringing some cooler air south, but also showers and possibly a few thunderstorms in the mix. But mostly it's going to be showers and maybe even a few snowflakes. Kind of up for debate later in the week. But this midweek system, this one is mostly going to be in the form of rain. We're going to see it through Minneapolis on down south to Kansas City across I-70. On Monday into Tuesday, you got showers and thunderstorms across Michigan. So you're not going to get those beautiful sunrises like you saw, at least not on Tuesday morning. On Wednesday, you're certainly not going to see them down East Maine all the way through the Delmarva, and then even a little farther south than that into the Carolinas. You're not going to be seeing a great, beautiful day. But it's not just the rain that's the story here. Look at this temperature drop. Big change from this gorgeous weekend and gorgeous Monday in Chicago. By the time you get to Tuesday, much more seasonable. Your high going to be in the 50s rather than in the mid-70s like you'll see tomorrow. So gorgeous there, but there's that cold air, and it's moving in just in time for Halloween. So it does look like the kids will need a jacket this year, especially living in the upper Midwest, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the end of October, also the beginning of marathon season. Look at this kickoff Beautiful weather at the Marine Corps Marathon in Arlington, Virginia, going right through the D.C. area. You could have been out there with 30,000 of your closest friends and fellow runners. And you know what? A big thank you to all the service members who are there or who are serving overseas or across the U.S. right now. Of course, the New York City Marathon is next week. We're looking towards the Northeast Corridor. One last grasp of heat out ahead of that cold front that Kate was just telling us about. Look at D.C. right now. Upper 60s, dew points extremely low. The winds are up, so you definitely need the chapstick here also. It is comfortably cool in interior New England, but already feeling that warmth along I-95. Philadelphia 64, D.C. 67. Plenty of sunshine here. That's the difference why New York isn't as warm as Philly right now. You're seeing a little bit of extra cloud cover, but even that will lift off as the day goes on. Winds a factor coming out of the northwest, 20 miles per hour for Philly, close to 20 in D.C. and Pittsburgh. These winds are going to shift around, though, as we go through the week. A southerly wind is going to kick on in, and that's going to warm things up even further. So say goodbye to those northwest winds and say hello to 10 to 15 degrees above average high temperatures because of that southerly flow. And again, it's all out ahead of that cold front. Tuesday, 80 in D.C. New York, you'll be near 70. Still warm Wednesday. And so we're certainly watching that carefully as that warm-up is ongoing. Kate, over to you.
All right, thanks, Mark. Game 5 of the World Series tonight in San Francisco. We're going to take a look at the science behind how weather is giving an edge to some of the hitters on the Giants field. Tonight, it's Game 5. It is all tied up, so we are going to let you know what it looks like wind-wise and weather-wise in San Fran.
Currently in our area, 81 degrees under partly cloudy skies.